Right. Okay, thank you. So we do Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya in 5 features, text 129. Sarvashraya Ishwarer Pranare Udesh Tattamasi Vakya Hoy Vedera Ek Desh. It is the purpose of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to present Pranava, Omkar, as the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. The words Tat Tvam Asi are only a partial explanation of the Vedic knowledge. Okay. Tat Tvam Asi means you are the same spiritual identity. So this will be explained further in next verse. Text 130. Pranava Mahavakya Taha Kari Achhadan Mahavakya Kari Tattvam Asi Asiristhapam. Translation. Pranav, Omkar is the Mahavakya, Mahamantra in the Vedas. Shankaracharya's followers cover this to stress without authority the mantra Tat Tvam Asi. So let's do the purport, and then there's some very nice explanation coming up. Any volunteers?
I will read, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Ruchira Mataji.
The Mayavadi philosophers stress the statements Tat Tvam Asi, So Aham, etc., but they do not stress the real Mahamantra Pranav Omkara. Therefore, because they misrepresent Vedic knowledge, they are the greatest offenders to the lotus feet of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says clearly, Mayavadi Krishna Paradi. Mayavadi philosophers are the greatest offenders to Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna declares, Tam aham dushta kruran sama sareshu naradhaman kshipamai ajashram ashubhan asurispa eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among mankind, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demonic species of life. Life in demonic species awaits the Mayavadi philosophers after death because they are envious of Krishna. When Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Man mana bhava mat bhakto mat yagi mam namaskaru. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me. One demonic scholar says that it is not Krishna to whom one must surrender. The scholar is already suffering in this life and he will have to suffer again in the next life if he does not complete his prescribed suffering. Complete his prescribed suffering. One should be very careful not to be envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the next verse, therefore, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu clearly states the purpose of the Vedas.
Thank you. So the verses in Vedas start with the Pranav, Omkar, Om, whatever, and it goes on. But it's supposed to be the Maha Mantra, the Maha Vakya, or the great statement of every Vedic verse and every Vedas. But the Mayavadi philosophers stress one statement in the Vedas, that is Tat Tvam Asi, means you are that same spiritual identity, meaning you are God. So Aham is another one who says, I am the same person, which is I am God also. But they don't stress the real Mahamantra, which is Pranava, in the context of the Vedas. Therefore, because they're misrepresenting the Vedic knowledge, they are greatest offenders to the lotus feet of the Lord. That's what we have to understand. Mayavadis are considered the greatest offenders to the lotus feet of the Lord. And Krishna says that those who are envious of me and mischievous, Tanham Dishta Kurunan, Sansares Naradhamam, who are the lowest among the mankind, Shipami Ajasram Ashubhan, I perpetually cast them into the ocean of material existence and Asurish Eva Yonishi, various demoniac species of life. So Krishna is saying, those people, I throw them in the demonic species of life. That's a very wonderful mercy of Lord Krishna. But doing that is helping them. Right? And Prabhupada saying in the purport that all Mayavadi philosophers are awaiting birth in the demonic species. As soon as they leave this birth, they're going to get a demonic life. And then goes on to say, Krishna says, surrender to me. But Mayavadi says, no, don't surrender to him. And therefore, they suffer in this life and they suffer in the next life. So therefore, Prabhupada is warning us all to not be envious of the God. So now, let me ask you a question. I'm asking all of you. Are we envious of Krishna? Yes or no?
No, Prabhu.
No?
No. Actually, yes, Prabhuji. I
Yes,
think it's a
Prabhuji.
yes.
Okay. So let's hear from no and let's hear from yes. Why do you say no?
Because we take Krishna as our father. Who can be envious of the father?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I know many people, but anyway, okay, that's the logic. Shalini Mataji, what's your logic?
The reason I said yes was, Prabhuji, because I think we believe that we are controlling, we are the doers, and knowingly or unknowingly, we tend to become envious because the conditioning makes us believe that
Right.
we are the controllers.
Right. So anytime we try to take somebody's role away, we're being envious. So when we tell Krishna, I'm the controller because I decided what work I'm going to do, what city I'm going to live in, and what children are going to become, I'm controlling everything. And then we say, I'm the enjoyer. You're not the enjoyer, I'm the enjoyer. When we say, we're the proprietor, you're telling him, no, you're not the proprietor. That's all part of envy. So yes, we are very envious. And we would go to the demoniac life unless we perform devotional service at the same time and accept that the goal is to understand and not be the enjoyer, not be the controller, not be the proprietor. Then we have hope. Otherwise, we have a big problem. Okay, it looks like 3 people want to ask questions. So, Devjani, you go first.
Prabhuji, also can we think it in this way that Krishna is within everybody? So ultimately, when we are doing like when we are envious among each other, so ultimately we are envious of Krishna.
Yeah, yeah. We are all Krishna's children. So, if we envy each other, then yes, basically we're envying Krishna. Okay. All right. Shalini Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mother.
Prabhuji, just one thing to add or ask. Because we were envious of Krishna only, we are in this conditioned life, no, Prabhu?
That's also very true. And that's exactly what we said. No, we are going to enjoy. We want to be the enjoyer. We want to be the controller. We want to be the proprietor. That's the envy we showed, and we ended up here. So, yeah, inherently, that's how we got started in this material world. Now we're trying to unlearn that. We're trying to learn to surrender, which means, no, you are the proprietor, you're the controller, you're the enjoyer. And so chanting helps us get to that point. Yeah. Anybody else? Any other questions or comments? Okay, let's go to 131. सर्ववेद सूत्र करे कृष्णेर अभिधान मुख्यवृत्ति छाड़िकल lakshana व्याख्यान. So now Lord Chaitanya is saying, in all the Vedic sutras and literatures, it is Lord Krishna who is to be understood. But the followers of Shankaracharya have covered the real meaning of the Vedas with indirect explanations. So all the Vedic sutras say we should understand Lord Krishna. That's the purpose of the Vedas. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, I think it's verse 30 or something, it says Vasudeva Paraveda, which means the sole purpose of studying the Vedas is to understand Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Vedas Sarvam Ahamev Vedya. The whole purpose of studying the Vedas is to understand me. But Mayavadi goes somewhere else. So, Lord Chaitanya is saying, but you guys cover the real meaning of the Vedas with indirect explanation. So let's see what the purpose is. It's very small, so I'll just read it. It said, Vede Ramayane cha Purane Bharate tatha Adav Ante cha Madhye cha Hari Sarvatra Gayate. The Vedic literature, including the Ramayana, the Puranas, Mahabharata, from the very beginning to the end, as well as within the middle, only Hari, Supreme Personality of Godhead, explained. So the start of it, middle of it, end of it, not Chaitanya, sorry, not the Supreme Lord is being explained. So don't try to cover that. Okay, 132. Swatah Pramana Veda, Pramana Shiromani, Lakshana Karile Swatah, Paramanata Hani. Self-evident Vedic literatures are the highest evidence of all, but if these literatures are interpreted, the self-evident nature is lost. So instead of taking the direct meaning, the evidence that's being given, you go around it, try to hide it, and therefore you come to the wrong conclusion. Okay. Actually, if you go back to 131, it says Mukhya Vritti Chari Kail Lakshana Vyakhya. So we gave up the direct interpretation and made indirect explanation. So that's what's going on here. Okay. Purport again, very small, but I'll just read it. We quote Vedic evidence to support our statements. But if we interpret it according to our own judgment, the authority of the Vedic literature is rendered imperfect or useless. In other words, by interpreting the Vedic version, one minimizes the value of Vedic evidence. When one quotes from the Vedic literature, it's understood that the quotations are authoritative. How can one bring the authority under his own control? That is the case of principiis absta. That's a Latin term. So basically, if you interpret the Vedas, then you're taking the authority away. Now, then you becoming the authority. And therefore, clearly, the conclusions are going to be wrong. As an example I was giving the other day, if you go with the assumption 3 is less than 2, then no matter what conclusion you come to, it will be wrong. Because you're contradicting the basic premise of mathematics. 3 is larger than 2. If you go the other way around, any conclusion will be wrong. So that's what's happening here. Okay. 133. Hemate Pratisutre Sahajarth Charya Gaunarth Vyakhya Kare Kalpana Kariya. The Kalpana means imagination. So to prove their philosophy, the members of the Mayavad school have given up the real, easily understood meaning of the Vedic literature and introduced indirect meanings based on their imaginative powers. So give up the real, take the indirect meaning based on your own imagination. Clearly, it's going to confuse people and mislead people. They say, unfortunately, the Shankarite interpretation has covered almost the entire world. Unfortunately, Mayavadis are everywhere. Therefore, there's a great need to present the original, easily understood natural import of the Vedic literature. We've therefore begun by presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is, and we propose to present all the Vedic literature in terms of the direct meaning of it. So a nice example has been given about Bhagavad Gita. Prabhupada presented it as is. Many others have given some really indirect explanations, like one person saying, there's no Kurukshetra, Kurukshetra means your body. There are no Pandavas, Pandavas mean 5 senses. There's no Krishna, it's a super soul. And then takes it from there. So how can it be right? Some people have taken to mean it's all about karma. Well, how can it be right? So that's the point. If people hide the meaning, then people are going to become misled. Therefore, it's very important that we find commentaries that respect the direct meaning of the scriptures. Okay, 134. Ahimate Pratisutre Karenam Dushan Shuni Chamatkar Hoil Sannyasi Ragam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just showed for each and every sutra the defects in Shankaracharya's explanations. All the assembled Mayavadi sannyasis were struck with wonder. So Lord Chaitanya went through many verses and showed how Shankaracharya had interpreted it incorrectly by covering the direct meaning of the verses. And they were totally shocked and amazed that that is the case. So Sakala Sannyasi का है सुनो श्रीपाद तुम्हें जब खंडिले अर्थ एन है विवाद. All the Mayavadi sannyasis said, Your Holiness, kindly know from us that we actually have no quarrel with your refutation of these meanings, for you have given a clear understanding of the sutras. So when you give clear, concise explanation, it becomes hard to argue. When it's vague or imprecise, then it's easy to argue. So they're saying there's nothing to argue. We totally accept what you're saying. आचार्य कल्पित अर्थ यह सबे जानी संप्रदाय अनुरोधे तबु ताहा मानी. We know that all this word jugglery springs from the imagination of Shankaracharya. And yet, because we belong to his sect, we accept it, although it does not satisfy us. The Mayavadis admitting that the explanations of Shankaracharya do not satisfy them. And they can't. Any intelligent person will find the holes. But because we belong to this sect, we have to say yes. We have to agree with mom and dad. We have to agree with the boss. Like in America, so many people agree with Trump, but they cannot dare say no. So that's what's going on with the Mayavadis. Okay, 137. मुख्यार्थ व्याख्या करे देखी तुम्हार बल मुख्यार्थ लागाल प्रभु सूत्र शकल. Now let us see the Mayavadis has continued. How well you can describe the sutras in terms of their direct meaning. Hearing this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began his direct explanation of the Vedanta Sutra. So they're saying, okay, we've been getting the indirect meaning, now you tell us the direct meaning. So Lord Chaitanya starts, 138. Brihad Vastu Brahma Kahi, Shri Bhagavan, Shad Vidhaishwarya Purna, Paratattva Dham. Brahman, who is greater than the greatest, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is full in 6 opulences, and therefore is a reservoir of ultimate truth and absolute knowledge. So, Brahman is the Lord, full of 6 opulences, and reservoir of absolute truth. He is the absolute and absolute knowledge. He is known as omniscient, which means he knows everything. There's nothing that he does not know. In Bhagavad Gita 7:26, what does he say? Vedaham samtitani vartamanani cha Arjuna. Avashyani cha bhutani mam tu veda kashyap. I know the past, I know the present, and I know the future, and I know every living entity, but nobody knows me. So he knows everything. He's absolutely omniscient, knows everything, past, present, and future, and whatever he is absolute and ultimate truth. There's nothing higher. Matta Patananat Kanchitas Dhananjaya in 7:7, Bhagavad Gita 7:7, Krishna says, there's no higher truth than me. I'm the highest truth. So then to call him an ordinary human being is again misinterpreting and misinforming people. Okay, who wants to read the purport?
I will read, Prabhuji.
Please go ahead, Pooh.
Yeah, in Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that absolute truth is understood in 3 phases of realization. The impersonal Brahman, the localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma are expansions of the potential of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is complete in 6 opulences, namely wealth, fame, strength, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Since he possesses his 6 opulences, the personality Godhead is the ultimate truth in absolute knowledge. Hare Krishna.
So as we were saying, he is the ultimate truth in absolute knowledge. And then it's referring to the 3 features of the absolute truth, which is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. And Brahman and Paramatma are the expansions of the potency of the Lord. Okay, so I think that's text 11 in first canto, 2nd chapter. Text 139. स्वरूप ऐश्वर्यता नाहि माया गंध सकल वेदेर होय भगवान से संबंध. In his original form, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full with transcendental opulences, which are free from contamination of the material world. It is to be understood that in all Vedic literature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate. So, repeating the same thing. All the conclusions of the Vedas finally are saying that Krishna is the goal. Okay, and Krishna's opulences, like him, are also transcendental and therefore free of any material contamination. So his beauty is not material beauty. His wisdom is not material wisdom. His strength is not material strength, because anything material will be temporary and will have some kind of limit. Krishna's opulences are not material, sorry, not temporary, and have no limit. Okay, they're all unlimited. 140. तारे निर्विशेष कहे चित शक्ति न मानी अर्थ अर्ध स्वरूप न मानिले पूर्णता होय हानि. When we speak of the Supreme as personal, impersonal, we deny his spiritual potencies. Logically, if you accept half the truth, you cannot understand the whole. So this is like, I think I told you the story about there were some Muslim people traveling in a train, and the time came to read namaz. And so one Muslim sat down facing Makkah and the namaz, another Muslim was just looking. So when it was finished, he asked the other Muslim, how come you're not doing namaz? And this person says, well, the Quran says, don't read namaz. And this man was shocked. He says, what are you talking about? I've read Quran so many times, it does not say that. The man insisted, no, it does say that. So this man took out his copy of Quran. He said, okay, show me. So the other man opened the page and said, look, it says right here, do not read namaz. And the man said, read the whole sentence. The second half of the sentence was, until you have washed your hands. So then this man says, the first part is for me, second part is for you. So all I know is saying, do not read namaz. But clearly he's missing the full meaning. Similarly, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Jithetsasi tathakuru. In the 18th chapter, he says, do as you wish. But the whole point is that I have given you the knowledge. Now you analyze, and then using your free will, do as you wish. And some people say, that is the favorite part of Bhagavad Gita for me. Krishna says clearly, do whatever I want. I will do whatever I want. But again, that's half the truth. When you go for half the truth, you missed the full meaning or the lead. So that's the point being made. Let's read the purport.
I can read, Prabhu.
Please go ahead.
In the Upanishad, it is said, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Shishyate. This verse, which is mentioned in the Isha Upanishad, Brahad Aranyaka Upanishad, and many other Upanishads, indicates that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in 6 opulences. His position is unique, for he possesses all riches, strength, influence, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. Brahman means the greatest, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is greater than the greatest. Just as the sun globe is greater than the sunshine, which is all pervading in the universe. Although the sunshine that spreads all over the universes appear very great to the less knowledgeable, greater than the sunshine is the sun itself, and greater than the sun is the sun god. Similarly, impersonal Brahman is not the greatest, although it appears to be so. Impersonal Brahman is only the bodily effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but the transcendental form of the Lord is greater than both the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. Therefore, whenever the word Brahman is used in Vedic literature, it is understood to refer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Right. And that's the indirect meaning. The Mayavadis take, they say, Brahman, look, Brahman means Brahman effulgence. And therefore, that's the greatest. But again, not going through, for example, the verse I was quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam, that the three features of absolute truth are Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So therefore, it doesn't stop at Brahman. That's like stopping at sunshine, saying there's nothing beyond it. But there's something beyond it. That's called sun glow. That's the Paramatma feature, localized Paramatma feature. And then there's sun god, Surya Devata. That's the Bhagavan feature. You can't ignore that. Therefore, one who understands Bhagavan feature also understands the Paramatma and Brahman feature. But those who stop at Brahman feature, they only understand 1/3. They're missing the 2/3. Okay? And that's again, we talked earlier, when you understand only half the truth, you miss the point. That's where they're missing the point. That Krishna, the personal feature of Krishna is the highest feature. And that impersonal Brahman is just simply the rays of his body, which means his energy. Okay, let's read the next part.
Shall I read, Prabhuji?
Please go ahead, Prabhu.
In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is also addressed as Brahman. Mayavadis and others sometimes misunderstand Brahman because every living entity is also Brahman. Therefore, Krishna is referred to as Brahman, the Supreme Brahman. In the Vedic literature, whenever the word Brahman or Brahman are used, they are to be understood to refer to Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. This is their real meaning, since the entire Vedic literature deals with the subject of Brahman. Krishna is therefore the ultimate goal of Vedic understanding. The impersonal Brahm Jyoti rests on the personal form of the Lord. Therefore, although the impersonal effulgence, the Brahm Jyoti, is the first realization, one must enter into it, as mentioned in the Ishupnist, to find the Supreme Person, and then one's knowledge is perfect. The Bhagavad Gita 7.19 also confirms this Bahunam Janmanam Ante Janmanam Mam Upapadante. One's search for the absolute truth by the dint of speculative knowledge is complete when one comes to the point of understanding Krishna and surrenders unto him. That is the real point of perfectional knowledge.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, so this is what we were saying before. That is just stop at Brahman. You got partial understanding. And where Mayavadis play their tricks, they say Brahman means Brahman effulgence. Whereas people are explaining that Brahman means Supreme Personality of Godhead as just Parabrahman. So therefore, let's not get mixed up and have the full understanding that there are three features of absolute truth, and the personal feature is called Bhagavan, or Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why Prabhupada translated the word to Supreme Personality. Anything impersonal cannot have personality. Light does not have personality. Fire does not have personality. Therefore, he put that word deliberately to emphasize the point. We're talking about a person, not about energy. Okay. Next paragraph, please.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead. Yes.
Partial realization of the absolute truth as impersonal Brahman denies the complete opulence of the Lord. This is a hazardous understanding of the absolute truth. Unless one accepts all the features of the absolute truth, namely impersonal Brahman, localized Paramatma, and ultimately the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's knowledge is imperfect. Sripada Ramanuja Charya in this Vardarsha Sangraha says, Ajan Ananita Dharmina Swarupam Abhi Nirupitam natu janana matram brahmati kadam idam avagamyati. He thus indicates that the real identity of the absolute truth must be understood in terms of both his knowledge and his characteristic. Simply to understand the absolute truth to be full of knowledge is not sufficient. In the Vedic literature, Mridraksha up 1.1.9, we find the statement Yaha Sarvat Jana Sarvatvit, which means that the absolute truth knows everything perfectly, but we also learn from the Vedic description Parashya Shakti Vivitaiva Sriyate, that not only does he knows everything, but he also acts accordingly by utilizing his different energies. Thus, to understand that Brahman, the Supreme, is conscious is not sufficient. One must know how he consciously acts through his different energies. Mayavadi philosophy simply informs us of the consciousness of the absolute truth, but does not give us information of how he acts with his consciousness. That is the defect of the philosophy.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
thank you. This is a very wonderful explanation here. So if you go back to the example of the Brahman effulgence being the rays of the body of Krishna, then right away we're looking at two different things. One is the light and one is the body. And then body is owned by somebody. In the case of Krishna, it's not different, but the point being the body and there's Krishna, right? So for somebody to think that, yes, knowledge is the best thing, and Krishna, the Brahman has knowledge. Yes, but that's not, again, complete understanding. How is that knowledge used by the owner of that knowledge is very important also. Because that defines his qualities, his characteristics, etc. And then Prabhupada is quoting from Shvetashtar Upanishad, Parasa Shakti Vividhav Shvite. Krishna acts through his potencies. And he's got millions of those different potencies. So he's acting, just not directly himself, but through his energies or potencies, right? So therefore, just saying that absolute truth is conscious is only half the story. The absolute truth also has personality. Absolute truth has qualities. Absolute truth has actions that it performs as per the qualities. And therefore, unless we understand how he acts from that knowledge, we still have incomplete philosophy. And because Maya will stop at the consciousness level, their philosophy is defective. It's missing two-thirds of the facts. Okay, is that part clear? Because once again, that's a very important distinction to understand. Okay.
Prabhuji, can you just repeat the last thing you said?
What I was saying was that to say that absolute truth has knowledge is not incorrect, but it's incomplete, because then you don't talk about how that knowledge or consciousness is used to perform activities. So you're just missing the whole point. With the light doesn't act. There's no activity with light. Yeah, there's knowledge in the light, but then what are you doing with that knowledge? What are you doing with the consciousness? That we understand only when we talk about Krishna as the person, the Bhagwan feature. Even Paramatma doesn't act as such. He can be the witness and
they just
sanctioner,
witness.
but not acting as in doing something. He does not take a stick and throw it away. He doesn't tend to the cows. Krishna does. Paramatma does.
Prabhuji, one more thought came to my mind.
Huh?
This terminology, Supreme Personality of Godhead, has used by nobody besides Srila Prabhupada, right? Ever.
Correct. Yes.
Correct? Because he want to insist that Krishna has a form.
Correct.
Okay.
The form and personality.
Yeah. And Chaitanya Charitamrita further enhances the understanding. Original Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Krishna is all the incarnations, the Vishnu Tattva incarnations of Krishna, like Lord Ram, Lord Nrsimhadev, Lord Matsya, Lord Kurma, etc., they're all supreme personalities of Godhead. But Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead. Even Bhagavatam says that.
Yeah.
Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Ete chas kalapunsam, Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All the incarnations are expansion and expansion and expansion of Krishna. He's the original supreme personality of Godhead. They are all supreme personalities of Godhead. Lord Ram is supreme personality of Godhead. Lord Nrsimhadev is supreme personality of Godhead. Krishna is the original supreme personality of Godhead.
But this statement is perfect only for this Chatur Yuga, because in this Kali Yuga, Krishna comes himself in his original form. Otherwise, in all other 999 Chatur Yugas, like in the Dwapar Yuga, that is Vishnu's incarnation. Vishnu comes as Krishna. Like Krishna himself comes once in a day of Brahma. That's what I'm meaning.
That's correct.
Okay.
Text 141. भगवान प्राप्ति हेतु जे करी उपाय श्रवण आदि भक्ति कृष्ण प्राप्ति रे सहाय. Only by devotional service, beginning with hearing, Shravanam, that one can approach the Supreme Personality of God. That is the only means to approach Him. So again, so many verses will talk about, Krishna says, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. Only through devotional service can you get to know me. That's the only way. There's no other process. A Gyan Yoga, a Karma Yoga, they all Dhyan Yoga, they all take you to Bhakti first, and then you see Krishna. None of those processes can take you directly to Krishna. So let's see the purport. Let's better.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can I read?
Yes, Prabhuji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Mayavadi philosophers are satisfied simply to understand Brahman to be the sum total of knowledge. But Vaishnava philosophers not only know in detail about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but also know how to approach Him directly. The method for this is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as 9 kinds of devotional service, beginning with hearing Sharavanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padashevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dashyam, Shakyam, Atma Nivedanam, Bhagavatam 7.5.23. The 9 kinds of devotional services are hearing about Krishna, chanting about Him, remembering Him, offering service to His lotus feet, offering Him worship in the temple, offering prayers to Him, working as His servant, making friendship with Him, and unreservedly surrendering to Him. One can directly approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead simply by executing these 9 kinds of devotional service, of which hearing about the Lord is the most important, Shravanadi. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has very favorably stressed the importance of this process of hearing. According to his method, if people are simply given a chance to hear about Krishna, certainly they will gradually develop their dormant awareness or love of God. Shravanadi Shuddha Chitte Karye Udaya. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya 22.107. Love of God is dormant in everyone, and if one is given a chance to hear about the Lord, certainly that love develops. Our Krishna consciousness movement acts on this principle. We simply give people the chance to hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and give them prasadam to eat, and the actual result is that all over the world, people are responding to this process and becoming pure devotees of Lord Krishna. We have opened hundreds of centers all over the world just to give people in general a chance to hear about Krishna and accept Krishna's prasadam. These 2 processes can be accepted by anyone, even a child. It doesn't matter whether one is poor or rich, learned or foolish, black or white, old or still a child. Anyone who simply hears about the Supreme Personality of Godhead and takes the prasadam is certainly elevated to the transcendental position of the devotional service.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is quoting this verse spoken by Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam. He's talking about these 9 processes. And he's saying, what could be simpler than hearing? Prabhupada is saying, yeah, just give them the sound vibration of the Lord's name to hear and prasadam to eat. And he's saying, look at the result you already have received. I was saying last Sunday that we have more than 850 centers, ISKCON centers now around the world. There's no country in the world anymore where somewhere the name is not being chanted. So that's all the effect of Shravanam and Prasadam. Devjani, you have a question?
No, Prabhuji, not question exactly. I have a realization. I feel like because we are studying this Mayavadi philosophy from quite a long time, and I feel like this is also a Krishna Lila. I don't know I'm right or wrong because it's like purposely Krishna has created this imperfect sect of Mayavadis so that we have better understanding of the Supreme Personality.
Yeah, well, you could say that because when you see these people, you say, wait a minute, clearly they're missing something, and then you go back and say, let me read this more, let me study this more, let me understand this better. So yeah, I mean, original idea was different because the Krishna wanted Buddhism to finish, but the end result is that yes, those of us who have some understanding of devotional service, and we hear about Mayavad, then we say, oh, thank Krishna that we're not into that. And then perhaps we pay more attention to the details about Krishna. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Text 142. Sri sarva veder abhidhe nam sadhana bhakti hote che hoy premer udgam. By practicing this regulated devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, certainly one awakens his dormant love of Godhead. This process is called abhidheya. So abhidheya literally means process. And who's the Abhidheya Acharya in our movement?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada.
Sorry?
Srila Prabhupada.
Srila Prabhupada? No.
Is it Sanatan Goswami Prabhu?
Close, you're getting close. His brother.
Rupa Goswami.
Rupa Goswami.
Yes.
Yes.
So, just because we're on the topic, Sanatan Goswami is called Sambandha Acharya. Right? So, his Sambandha means what is the relationship? So, who am I? Who Krishna is? And what is my relationship with him? So, I'm the servant. That's the relationship. Servant, master.
Sorry, what was the two acharyas? What were the two types of acharyas?
Sambandha Acharya.
And what was the first one?
Abhidheya.
What does that mean?
Process.
So Rupa Goswami gave instructions on process.
Correct. Like the whole book, that of devotion, for example,
Right.
the process. Okay. So just finishing that point. So that's Sambandhacharya. So he basically to know who we are, who Krishna is, and that we are the eternal servant. That's the relationship. Then Abhidheya process. How do we execute that relationship? Which means how do we become the servant of Krishna by performance of devotional service? And what is that process? And then its final is prayojan. Then why are we doing this process? Why are you worrying about what is the prayojan? Prayojan means the purpose. The purpose is to develop
Love.
love of Krishna.
Love for Krishna.
Love for Krishna. Okay, so those are 3 things. Sambandha, Abhidheya, and prayojan. Here is talking about the Abhidheya. Sorry, Gayatri, you had raised your hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I was just wondering if there's an acharya that's associated with Prayojan.
Oh, Raghunath Das.
Okay.
All right. Who wants to take the floor? Any volunteers to read the purport?
I can read, Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. By the practice of devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting, the impure heart of a conditioned soul is purified, and thus he can understand his eternal relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That eternal relationship is described by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Jivare Swarupa Hai Krishna Nityadas. The living entity is an eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When one is convinced about this relationship, which is called Sambandha, he then acts accordingly. That is called Abhideya. The next step is Prayojan Siddhi, or fulfillment of life. If one can understand his relationship to the personality of Godhead and act accordingly, automatically his mission in life is fulfilled. The Mayavadas miss even the person of God's being personal. He is the master of all, and he is the only person who can accept the service of all living entities. But since this knowledge is lacking in Mayavad philosophy, Mayavadis do not have knowledge even of their relationship with God. They wrongly think that everyone is God or that everyone is equal to God. Therefore, since the real position of the living entity is not clear to them, how can they advance further? Although they are very much puffed up at being liberated, Mayavadi philosophers very shortly fall down again to material activities due to their neglecting the lotus feet of the Lord. That is called Patantya Adha. Ye anya arivandaksha vimuktamaninas tvaya ashta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruheya krachrena parampadam tatah patanti adho anadrata yushmad angraha. Bhagavatam 10:32. Here it is said that persons who think themselves liberated but do not execute devotional service, not knowing the relationship with the Lord, are certainly misled. One must know his relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. Then the fulfillment of his life's mission will be possible. Hare Krishna.
So here's the other point. Do you agree that your actions with somebody are governed by your relationship with that person? In other words, we act according to our relationship with the person. Is that correct or not?
Correct.
So if that's correct, then if you don't know what that relationship is, can you act in proper way?
No.
No, and that's what's happening in Mayavadi. Because
Yeah.
they don't understand God's position, because they don't understand their own position, and therefore they don't understand the relationship, and inaccurately think that everyone is God. With everybody is God, there's no relationship.
Yep.
So therefore, they can never get the real purpose of fulfillment of the life. As simple as that. They're missing some very basic points. Instead of thinking we are the servant of the Lord, they say we are the Lord. Instead of saying God is the master, they say God is just energy or knowledge or consciousness. Instead of having that relationship, they say you cannot have a relationship with the consciousness. So therefore, there's no relationship. Therefore, there's no shelter unto the lotus feet of the Lord because they don't believe Lord has feet. And therefore, patanti adha. After getting their liberation, mukti, they fall down. There's no support system for them. Okay?
Yep.
Any questions on that?
Hare
Okay.
Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
I had a question. Prabhu, you just mentioned that they get liberated. Prabhu, do they get liberated?
Yeah, so their liberation is known as Sayujya Mukti, and it means they merge in the Brahman effulgence. That's for the devotees, that's worse than hell because there's no Krishna there and there's no service to Krishna. But for these people, that's the perfection of their life.
Yep.
Because of the reasons we just mentioned, there's no shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, there's no activity, there's no variety, just light or knowledge, they fall down. They actually, out of their own volition, they fall down because they can't take it anymore. It's like imagine being shut down in a room, there's lots of lights, but that's it. White walls, circular room, you can't even go in a corner and hide. There's no corner. And just light, nothing else. How long can you stay there?
Prabhu, when they fall down, what is the level they restart?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, Prabhu. Thank you for asking. So they fall down in the material world, but inherently they are pure because they've already performed so many austerities to get that liberation.
Yep.
That purity is there. So if by any chance they get devotee association, they can become pure devotee very quickly. If they don't, then they become philanthropists, doing good to the community, they go to the society, good, being kind to the other people because they're very pure. Right? But unless they come to the platform of devotional service, they're not going to go over now and now.
Thank you, Prabhu.
And Krishna acknowledges that in 7th chapter, text 19. He says, Bahunam janunamante jnanavan mam prapatyate. Vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. He's saying, after many, many births, this jnana can come to me. And that implication is that they get devotee association. But even among them, somebody to know, I am all in all. I am the highest truth. I am the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's very rare. That personality is very rare. In the devotion also, Rupa Goswami says, pure devotional service is rarely achieved. That's one of the qualities. One of the 6 qualities of pure devotional service is rarely achieved. Not many pure devotees around. Okay?
Yep.
Babaji, I had a question.
Go ahead, Gayatri.
So it says here, like, one must know his relationship with the Lord and act accordingly. Yes, we know the Lord is the supreme, and we know his personal features, and we know we are his servants, but we don't know, like, our relationship in the sense of the bhavas that,
Sorry,
I don't know.
I read the last statement. We do know what our relationship is. We do know we're the servant, is the master.
Yes, but I guess that personal relationship with the Lord, we don't know that yet. As we're yes, and as we're doing our bhakti, hopefully we will get it. But I wonder if there's some lack in our bhakti because we don't know our relationship with the Lord. So we don't pray to him in that way, right?
Well, so as you become more and more pure, those things will start to become revealed. And so, for example, some people are more attracted to serving the Lord in Vatsalyaras. Some people are more attracted to the Lord serving in the Sakyaras. So assuming the purity, I'm not talking about pretenders. I'm not talking about people who unrightfully do that, because I know so many people in our Toronto congregation talk about chastising Krishna. Because in Vatsalyaras, well, that's bogus. Some people talk about, I talk to my Krishna every day. He's my friend. Well, I'm sorry. That's a little bogus. It's a one-way conversation. Okay, fine. You stand in front of the deity and you keep talking. Okay, but he's not talking back to you. Conversation means two-way conversation. Right? So unless somebody's pure, you don't get to that point. But my point is, as you get more and more pure, this tendency based upon its Siddhisvrup, it starts to manifest, but not before. So most of the people I know who claim to do this and that is immature.
So how should one act? Because it says here, like, since we don't know that aspect yet, and we're still, so we should just have the awe and reverence feelings towards the Lord.
Correct. Right now, none of us have any right to go beyond that. So we have to know Krishna is the Lord of the Lords, Krishna is the Supreme Master, and we are very insignificant servant of Krishna. So yes, we have to serve him in the mood of awe and reverence. And hopefully one day we'll become pure enough that we can rise above that. We're not there yet, and we cannot rush it. We cannot artificially rush it.
Yeah. Thank you, Rosie.
Okay.
Prabhuji, one quick question.
Did I record the class session today?
Yeah, you did record, yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah. Prabhuji, all the demons that Krishna killed, and also in the Mahabharata war, the battalion of the opposite party who were fighting against Pandavas and Krishna, they all got Sayuji Mukti, right?
Correct.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's all.
Sure.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Go ahead.
As a devotee, Prabhuji, what should be our priority to follow the process of all this Abhidheya, like to serve Krishna or going back to Godhead?
No. Going
Or
back to Godhead is not in your control. You can't demand that. What's in your control is how well you perform your devotional service. So do what's in your control. Don't try to do what's Krishna's control. And that goes for everything, not just going back home to Godhead.
but then we should not desire for going back to Godhead. Ultimately, like everybody says, we are doing all this for going back to Godhead. So
So I think the point is we should know that that's the end goal. But the process defined, we follow the process. It's like somebody may say to his son that I want you to become a medical doctor. And the son is 4 years old. You can't suddenly jump and go to medical school and I'm going to open my practice at the age of 5. Can't do that. You have to go through grades 4, 5, 6, whatever. You have to go to do your MCAT. You have to go to medical school. You have to do your residency, and then you become medical. That's what we have to do. We're starting in grade 1, so we have to go to grade 2 first. Which one among us is chanting purely? Raise your hand. How many of us are doing that? Okay, let me ask you a different question. How many of us have never offended a devotee? Okay, let me ask you a different question. How many of us have never eaten something that was not offered first? Never eaten anything that was not offered to the Lord first. Like, have you ever eaten non-prashadam? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands. So therefore, we're still in grade 1. Let's try to get to grade 2 before we talk about going back home back to Godhead. Yes, we all know that's the goal. But there's a process we have to follow. Following the process is in our control. Going back home back to God is not in our control. So once again, let's not try to do Krishna's job. That's envy.
yeah.
And envy also means NV, no vacancy. So if we envy of Krishna, no vacancy in Vaikuntha. So we should know that.
I have a question, Prabhu. So, why do you even ask that to Krishna? It's his choice. It's his choice to send us or not to send us. Why do we always ask him to do this?
Actually, Prabhuji, that's why I asked you this question, because whenever we hear and everybody saying, do this, we have to go back to Godhead. So sometimes I feel like isn't it wrong saying this thing?
Well, I
Because
mean,
our aim should not be going back to Godhead. Our aim should be serving Krishna with pure heart.
you're right. Absolutely right. It's like in the material world, people say, oh, I have to become a millionaire. I have to become a millionaire. Right? So, I mean, in a way, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a good goal. But what are you doing about it? So, similarly, to say, my goal is to go back to God. Okay, fine. But what are you doing about this? You can't be so focused on going back to Godhead that you forget the process. You cannot escape grade 5 to go to grade 6. Right? And we're trying to skip all these grades.
Hare Krishna,
Keep us
Prabhupada.
awake. To keep us awake, we just say that.
I'm sorry,
So that we can do. To keep us awake, we say that. So that we keep doing the
That's the
service.
incentive. Don't forget, that's your goal.
Hmm.
But then what are you doing about it?
And there's also that risk that next life, if we're born again and don't go back to Godhead, we might not be so fortunate.
Yeah, that's very true. Very true. Shashikala Mataji, thank you for
Hare
your
Krishna
question.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
So now, if we are only concentrating about the process, sometimes we get diverted. But how do we come back and be determined by envisioning the end goal? So what should we keep as the vision that if going back to Godhead is not in our control, then what should we keep as our end goal,
Yes.
which is in our control?
Thank you for asking that. Another wonderful question. Our goal should be to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. Simple and very practical and immediate. Whatever instructions we are getting from a spiritual master, if we simply follow them, our arrival at Golokundan Dham is guaranteed. Guaranteed. So let us see how many of us, to what degree, are following all the instructions of our Guru Maharaj. Right? So, I'm not talking about you, but a lot of people, they talk very big. They become very active when the Guru Maharaj is visiting their city. But as soon as the Guru Maharaj leaves, well, life becomes different. Or when they get instruction, they all ask Guru Maharaj, please give me some instruction. Please give me some instruction. The Guru Maharaj gives an instruction, they say, oh, the bargaining starts there. Oh, can I do a little less than that? Can I do that instead of that? Well, that's not following instructions. And in following instructions, when the Guru is not with you, following instructions that were given once, they never repeated, remembering them and executing them. Let's go back to Srila Prabhupada. When was that first instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj given to Srila Prabhupada? What year was that? Anybody knows?
1940 कुछ था.
ऐसा कुछ था नहीं चलेगा.
1922?
Yes, very good. 1922. Which year did Prabhupada come to USA?
1966.
Oh, 65.
65.
65.
So 43 years later, he executed that instruction. So the instruction of the spiritual master is eternal. If it cannot be executed immediately, that's fine. It can never be forgotten or ignored. So those who do that, they get that visa and the ticket at the same time. Those who forget, or they try to find, some people delegate the Guru's instructions. Or he wants to buy this or do that. Why don't you do that? I'm busy. He wants us to come and massage his feet. Well, I'm busy today or I'm tired today. Why don't you do it? Well, you can do all that, but then you're not going back to God. You can chant all you want. Right? When Arjun went to Krishna and said, what did he say? Oh my God, 2.7 said, Karpada dosho pratsabhava, vichhami tvam dhamma sammudha cheta. Yet Shreya Shad Nishitam Bruhitan me Shishaste Aham Shadhimam Tuam Prapam. He says, now I don't know, I'm totally confused. I don't know what my duty is. You tell me, not just you tell me what you think is good for me. Not just anything, what you think is good for me. Instruct me, Shadhimam, instruct me. Tuam Prapannam, I'm surrendered to you. Why did he have to say I'm surrendered to you? Surrender to you means I'll do whatever you want me to do. I have no more independent desires or considerations. Your wish is my command. Karishye vachanam tava. I'll do whatever you instruct me to do. How many of us are at the point where they say to our Guru Maharaj, Karishye vachanam tava? We're looking for shortcuts, we're looking for slight variations to suit our needs, or we're asking for something less. Well, that's not following the instructions. You can do that, guaranteed visa and ticket. One-way ticket, not two-way ticket. You're not coming back. So let's think about that tonight and tomorrow night, whatever. How good are we at following Guru's instructions? And if you're waiting for Guru to tell you, there's something wrong. You should know the Guru's mood, imbibe that mood, and act accordingly without the Guru asking you to do that. Then you're following the instructions. What was the other instruction Prabhupada got from his Guru Maharaj? When you get money, do what?
Print books.
Print books.
Yeah.
How many books did Prabhupada print? Millions. Millions. Once instructed, performed millions of times. Yeah, it took time. It wasn't immediate, and nobody said it has to be immediate, but never forgotten. Guru's instructions are eternal. They can be delayed, but never forgotten. You want to go back to Godhead? Do that. Otherwise, you can chant all you want. We're still coming back and chanting. Okay, does that answer your question, Mataji?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
You're welcome.
This is so reassuring, Prabhuji.
Huh?
Because this is so reassuring because I thought you were gonna say, your goal should be like Krishna Prem, and it's out there. It's something we don't understand, right? And it's not something that we're like, how do we develop Krishna Prem? But this is so practical, and this is something that we can just follow, because we have lectures from our Guruji, or we have direct instructions from our Guruji, and it's very reassuring to hear this. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
And thank you, Mother, for asking that wonderful question.
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. Yes. We have some really good questions today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
You're welcome. Okay. Should we do 143?
Yeah.
Actually, it's very, very timely and very relevant. Krishnere charane hoy yadi anurag, Krishna binu anyat tatar nahi rahe rag. If one develops his love of Godhead, becomes attached to the lotus feet of Krishna, gradually he loses attachment to everything else. And when there's nothing else in your life, Namasdeva Sarvamiti. He's all in all. Tum bin hamara koi nahi. Right? It's Krishna, 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 and nobody else. We don't know anything but Krishna. When Uddhava went to Vrindavan, and he was telling the gopis to find something else to be attracted to. And the gopis said, Uddhav, man nahi das bis. Uddhav, we have only one mind, one heart. We don't have 10, 20 of those. That one Krishna has stolen already. Now, how do you expect us to think or meditate or become attracted? The mechanism has been taken away by Krishna with him. So sorry, we can't follow instruction. So once again, if we get to that point, we got it made. but we're not there. Okay, so let's read the purport.
Can I read, Prabhu?
Please go ahead, yeah.
This is a test of advancement in devotional service. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.42, Bhaktir Pareshanubhavo Viraktir Anyatra Cha. In bhakti, a devotee's only attachment is Krishna. He no longer wants to maintain his attachments to many other things. Although Mayavadi philosophers are supposed to be very much advanced on the path of liberation, we see that after some time they descend to politics and philanthropic activities. Many big sannyasis who were supposedly liberated and very advanced have come down again to materialistic activities, although they left this world as mithya, false. When a devotee develops in devotional service, however, he no longer has attachments to such philanthropic activities. He is simply inspired to serve the Lord and he engages his entire life in such service. This is the difference between Vaishnava and Mayavadi philosophers. Devotional service, therefore, is practical, whereas Mayavada philosophy is merely mental speculation.
Thank you. So this is a wonderful verse that Prabhupada has quoted from the 11th canto. And basically, the meaning, the full verse, the meaning is that just like when somebody's eating, three things happen when you're eating. First thing that happens is that you start to feel satisfaction, tushti. Second thing that happens is nourishment, pushti. Third thing that happens is chudapayo, which means your hunger starts to finish. And you can come to a point where, let's say you're eating rasgulla, but after 15th rasgulla, somebody wants to go 16th, he said, I don't want to see it. I don't even want to see it. That's virakti. Right? So similarly, when we start performing devotional service, three things happen. First thing is tushti, which is direct perception of the Lord. Second is pushti, which means the relationship starts to develop and starts to become stronger. Third thing is virakti, which means we lose attraction of anything other than Krishna completely. So the attachment increases, the detachment increases. So detachment from material things, attachment to Krishna. So those three things happen simultaneously. Bhakti Pareshana Bhava. When you do bhakti, that is the result of our bhakti. So same thing is being said here in this particular verse, that as we become more attached to Krishna, we become detached from all other things. And very soon we come to a point where Mera to Giridhar Gopal,
दूसरो ना कोई
Dusaro na koi. There's nothing else. There's nothing else that matters in this world except Krishna. Okay? And I love this last line in the purport. Devotional service, therefore, is practical, whereas Mayavad philosophy is merely mental speculation. And you can imagine, mental speculation has no place. I have one speculation, you have different speculation. Right? There's another very nice verse in Mahabharata, but also quoted by Lord Chaitanya in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I think it's Lila, chapter 17, text 126, I think. It says, Tarko Pratishtha Shutiyo Vibhanna. That all these logical arguments, dry arguments, are inconclusive. But all the Vedas differ from each other in their conclusions. And he says, the rishis are only called rishis if they can give an opinion that's different from somebody else. Then he says, dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhaya. The dharma tattva, the truth of dharma, of duty, is hidden in the hearts of the devotees. Therefore, mahajanojan gata sapanta. Therefore, all we can do is follow the footsteps of the pure devotees. That is why we read about Srila Prabhupada, read about our devotees, other acharyas. That's why we study their bhajans, because then we can understand their realizations. And then we follow them. Because otherwise, you'll be misled in different direction, be confused. And so mental speculation is very dangerous. Everybody has different speculation there. Who do you follow? Okay. Excuse me. Okay, I think I'll stop there. Any more? Basically because my throat is just killing me. Any more questions or comments?
Well, I do have one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when Mother was talking about the three things, Sambandha, Prayojan, and Abhideya, is there one thing that we should focus on? Like, should we just focus on the Abhideya, just the process right now, and not worry about the other two?
Well, it's very difficult to isolate. They're so interconnected. So, for example, the process depends upon your understanding of who you are and who Krishna is. And that is why Mayavadi's process is so difficult and different, because they think I'm Narayan, he's Narayan. Well, okay, that's the relationship. We are the same, we are one. Now, what process will you use? Right?
Yeah.
Similarly, if you think, even if you agree that Krishna is a different personality and I'm a different personality, but if I'm equal to him or I am his friend, period, then process is going to be different. So now let's go to the good side. Let's look at the pure devotees who were in the Sakha bhav. Sudama, Subal, Mansukha, Madhumangal. What was their relationship like? Was there anything like that between us and Krishna?
No.
Why? Because their understanding of who they are, who Krishna is totally different from our understanding of who we are and who Krishna is. Chaitanya, we read that before. They say, who do you think you are? We are equal to him, if not better than you. Therefore, get down, let me climb up your shoulders and you run. Which one of us can do that to Krishna? Right? Because that's the relationship.
Yeah.
Similarly, Mother Yashoda ties him down ties him up with the rope. She thinks I'm superior. That is her position. Who is she? She's the mother in her mind. What is Sambandh? He's my son. If I don't feed him, he'll die.
Yep.
If I don't put kala tika on his face, nazar lag jayegi. Some evil eye will catch him. Right? That's what she's thinking. So that's the abhideya there. Put the tika or chant the mantras to the demigods for his protection. Appoint Balaram to protect him. That's the abhideya for her. What is her prayojan? Protect my son. Right? So everything changes. They're very interconnected. Who you are will determine the abhideya, and what our understanding of who Krishna is determine our abhideya. So it changes.
Okay.
Is that making sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to do one without
that's right. Exactly.
having the other.
Exactly. One determines the other. So someone determines the abhideya determines what our prayojan is going to be. But for example, not everybody is looking for love of God. Some people are serving, they're devotees, but they want money, they want power. That's their prayojan. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's all very closely interlinked.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome. Any last?
Prabhuji, that's why we need Guru.
That's why we all need Guru. I agree.
बिना गुरु के नैया पार नहीं लग रही
नहीं
है.
जाएगी. नहीं जाएगी. It is said that human body is the boat and the Guru's instructions are the favorable winds. And Guru is the captain. So only when we have that will go towards the other end, which is the Golokundama. Otherwise, we'll be going here and there in the same ocean. The material ocean will be going up and down, but eternally doing that up and down. Brahman Brahmate Kono Bhagyavanji. So only when you're fortunate, we get the good. Otherwise, it's like chakki piecing, going around and around and around. That's all we do. Shashikala Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
How do we deal with the name, fame, recognition? If we desire, Krishna will give. But in the same parallelly, our sadhana immediately drops, chanting immediately drops.
Yes.
So should I just stop? Like maybe that name, fame, recognition is coming from performing such and such services. So we can't stop the service and we all chanting.
No. If it depends upon your mood. If you do it for pratishtha, the prestige, then you're going to automatically fall down. Don't worry, that'll happen. But if you're doing it for Krishna and pratishtha comes, you transfer that pratishtha to your Guru Maharaj, to Krishna, and not become puffed up because of that. Don't accept it as your own praise, then you'll be fine. So the trick is to say, whatever skills I have, whatever abilities I have been given to me by the grace of Krishna. Right? In chapter 7, text 8, Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Raso aham apsu kaunteya vibhaso sasuryo pranava sarvavedeshu shabde ka paurusham nishu. I am the ability in man. So whatever abilities we have is Krishna, given to us by Krishna. Simple thing like I can pick up a glass of water, I can drink it, and I can ingest it. So I'm not unable to pick it up. I'm not unable to drink it. When I drink it, I don't have to throw it out. And I know people who every time they have a drink, they throw up completely, right away. So it's a grace of Krishna that I can do all that. Similarly, if you're doing any service, in 7:11, 11th verse, same chapter 7, he said, Balam Balvatam Chaham. I'm the strength of man. So whatever strength I have. So my skills, my talents, my abilities, they're all by the grace of Krishna. It is when we forget, then we start working for pratishtha, and we start accepting the praise as if it is true. The problem with praise is after some time we start believing it. When we start believing it, we become aware of our prestige, and we start doing it for prestige, and that's when we fall down. But if at all times, we constantly remember it's the mercy of the Guru, it's the mercy of Krishna, then you will not get puffed up, you will not work for pratishtha, consider this your service, and any praise that comes towards you, you simply redirect it to Krishna, saying, that's his mercy. Prabhupada, every time he was praised, he said, this is my Guru Maharaj's mercy. Every time. My own Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj, anytime we try to say something in terms of praise, he said, Prabhupada's mercy. So that's what devotees do. And that's what we have to learn. Not accept it as our praise, accept it as Guru's praise or Krishna's praise. Then you're safe.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Sure. Shalini Mataji.
Prabhuji, thank you so much for all the realistic realizations that you bring about in this session, because I'm realizing our conditioning is so thick that if we take one step towards Krishna, we think, oh my God, I am becoming a pure devotee now.
Yes.
and every time when you say this, it's a realization. No, we are so fallen in the real sense that whatever we are doing, it's not even kindergarten stuff.
Yes, you're right.
So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for bringing that rude awakening every time.
Thank you. Pure devotee, yes, Mataji, Shashikala Mataji, you're right. We see that a lot.
Yes, pure devotee. I like that word, pure devotee syndrome.
Yeah.
Yeah. On very first step, we think that हमसे तो बढ़कर कोई है ही नहीं.
That's right. I do 16 rounds.
हमसे कोई बढ़कर नहीं है. That is the illusion.
And
Yeah,
I've
that's
heard
what's the illusion.
And I've heard people even say, oh, I took flowers today and Radharani accepted them. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm so
yes.
great.
That's right.
It's not even the first step of the ladder now, I think, after listening to you.
Yes. Yeah, Prabhu, I have a question. In our temple, there are youth devotees, too many youth devotees. And they talk like, Mera Baldevo, kaisa kar raha hai?
Okay,
I
so
was like,
let me stop recording now. I think we're moving away from the. So let's stop. No, still recording.